Hello everyone, back to tuning in to today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the 10 to 14 days for today's video. Day 10 will take us to the 18th of November, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, because maybe it's around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFSB2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. That will get us into the early stages of December, and I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say about the first video, today was our 6 AM upload. And we've also released the Extended European Outlook with the EC Extended model. So please check out those two videos if you'd like to do that. Like, share, subscribe on the vid. So thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely Tuesday. Right, going to start off in the tropical Atlantic. We've got two interest areas. We've got a yellow X just here, which is disturbance 1, giving us a 30% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 days and a 30% chance in the next 5 days. We've also got Tropical Storm Nicole, giving maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 992 millibars. Clicking on Nicole and going here, we can see this actually forecast to become a short-lived Category 1 hurricane. So at the moment, Tropical Storm Nicole is just there, going to head towards Florida and give a direct hit on the Atlantic coast of Florida just there later tomorrow, or late tomorrow into Thursday, as a Category 1 hurricane, and then moving northwards through Florida into Georgia as a tropical storm. By the weekend, should be up here, running up eastern coast, so moving up towards Virginia and New York State, for example, and going post-tropical by then, post-tropical storm. So, very significant developments for that southeastern and eastern part of America in the next few days. Keep an eye on things, anybody living there, particularly those of you in Florida and in that southeastern part of America, Georgia, South Carolina, for example. Right, coming back to home, central temperature is currently sitting at 9.6, which is 3.2 degrees above average. That is provisional to yesterday, to the 7th of November. So the first week of November is going to come out significantly warmer than average, milder than average. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. We're at London today. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off around to a little bit above average at the moment. It's going to become very, very mild at the end of the week and into the weekend. About 3-4 days of really, really mild, if not warm, temperatures there, going up to 10 degrees at 850 HPA, which can't be bad for the second week of November. We do see things cooling off next week. We return back close to average as we go into the middle part of the month, and then in the second part of the month, looks generally closer to average. I've got a few cooler ensembles appearing there. 1 or 2 cold outliers now starting to appear. So maybe we'll get something, a little bit of cold snap then, sometime around the 20th of November. Conversely, we do have much milder ensemble members up here, so very uncertain as we get out into like the final 10 days of the month what temperatures are doing. But certainly looking closer to average. Precipitation-wise, of course it's showery at the moment, but it's going to go drier though for several days later this week as we have this high pressure building up, bringing this warm spell. From mid-month onwards, it looks much more unsettled again. So it's about 4 or 5 days of warmer, drier weather, and then we're back into much more unsettled conditions by the middle of the month and into the second half of the month, cooler and wetter. The temperature anomaly from the 8th to the 16th of November. Excuse me, everybody. Temperature anomalies from the 8th to 16th of November are above average, not just the UK, but through all parts of Europe. A sea of red right from west to east. Precipitation anomalies from the 8th to 16th of November. A bit wetter than average in the far northwest, otherwise drier than normal, especially so in the south and east. The latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows that we've got low pressure to west of Scotland today, and we're bringing in a showery west to southwesterly wind, so it really is a sunshine and showers type day today. Right, let's have a quick look at the chart data then. This is how the UK Met Euro run is looking for midnight on Friday. Exceptionally mild southwest winds bathing the country then. If you follow the isobars back, you can see that the air is originating from the Azores and even south of that, maybe from Madeira or possibly even the Canary Islands. It's certainly a very, very long fetch southwesterly that's pumping up across the country at the end of the week, and so that's the reason the temperature will be going warmer. Into Saturday and Sunday, high pressure to the east, low pressure yet to the west will keep wind up from the south. Low pressure will start to bring some shower rain into the west, but otherwise I think it's a mainly dry weekend and very mild. There could be some overnight fog though that might just linger on into the day, more especially for eastern parts of the country. That would limit the temperatures a little bit. Now, early next week, the high pressure begins to retreat away up towards Scandinavia and northeast Europe, and low pressure deepens in the Atlantic. So by this time next week, next Tuesday, 15th of November, we're going back into wet and windy weather with this area of low pressure bringing heavy rain, strong winds, and eventually probably cooler air back in from off the Atlantic. Icon, very similar for Friday, again in those very, very mild, if not warm, southwesterly winds. Winds turn southerly over the weekend, back to the southerlies that we had on and off through the summer, with high pressure to the east, low pressure to the west. Up comes those southerly winds. Again, watch out for fog patches early and late. They might linger into the day. If that happens, that will limit the temperature potential, but otherwise it will be a very warm weekend. Into next week, low pressure deepens in the Atlantic and starts to bring wet and windy weather into the west by Tuesday, although for the east we're still mainly dry actually, close to that area of high pressure, but I think the trend next week is much more towards low pressure. The GFS midnight run has just bathed in those southwest winds again. On Friday, wind turns southerly into the weekend. Some rain into the west by Sunday, but mainly dry over in the east. And then early next week, low pressure breaks through from the Atlantic. We bring wet and windy weather across the country, and eventually cooler air starts coming in from the North Atlantic as well. And that takes us into an increasingly unsettled spell of weather as we move up towards day 10. That is day 10, 18th of November, looking, very unsettled then. Low pressure is back in control of the weather. And the air is coming in from the North Atlantic, so it will be quite a lot cooler as well. But more extended range brings more deep low pressure in off the Atlantic. Wet and windy weather sweeping in then as we run into the final week of the month. That's how we're looking. This gets 24th of November. Again, another deep area of low pressure out to west of Ireland. That's got our name well and truly on it, I think. So that's only going in one direction. Notice how it's rising a little bit up to the north. So that's trying to bring something colder in from the north. But really up to like 24th of November, which basically Atlantic driven, wet and windy. This is the GFS 6 run. Again, all looking much of a muchness for Friday, pumping up those very mild, if not warm, southwest winds. Wind turns southerly over the weekend, although we'll have some rain into the west. It should be mostly dry over in the east. And then early next week, further deep areas of low pressure pushing in off the Atlantic, bringing more bouts of rain, with high pressure trying to build over Scandinavia into western parts of Russia. So through next week, the GFS 6 has us in a little bit of a battle with high pressure to the northeast, low pressure out to the west. Back day 10, and it looks like the high pressure in Scandinavia is about to win the battle actually at that point, but it doesn't quite, and the low pressure areas just keep coming, keeping us very, very unsettled with further bouts of rain and at times strong winds all the way up to the 24th of November. If you enjoyed the video, please you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. We only need to put on around 10 subscribers now to get to 14.7k. So if you could give us a sub, it would mean so much. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. 14,700 subscribers is within sight now. Thank you so much. Right, GM looks like this. Very mild southerly southwest winds on Friday and into the weekend as well. Early next week, low pressure starts moving in from off the Atlantic, bringing bouts of rain and increasingly strong winds as well. So a very unsettled look to weather through next week with spells of rain and cooler temperatures coming in from the North Atlantic as well. ECMWF once more is pumping up those very mild to warm southwest winds on Friday. Wind turns southerly into Saturday and Sunday, and then by the beginning of next week, low pressure is breaking through from off the Atlantic. That looks really quite stormy there. That's the 15th of November this time next week, looking really quite stormy for that area of low pressure, potentially bringing severe gales to the west, and no doubt bouts of heavy rain too. Another very deep low there, sweeping up from the southwest on Thursday, 17th of November, day 9. So the ECM is very wet and quite stormy today, actually. That day 10, 18th of November, slightly transient ridge then, but it's only ahead of this next area of low pressure and this next area of low, again going to run in along the jet stream and will bring us another spell of wet and windy weather around 24 hours further on. This is the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. Plenty of showers for the next few days, or the next day or so. Remember, what wet weather there is mainly gets restricted to the far northwest, northern west of Scotland and northern Ireland to England and Wales, turning drier for the second half of this week and into the weekend as well with these southerly winds. So several days of dry weather until the beginning of next week, and then the wet weather comes back in with the areas of low pressure advancing from off the Atlantic. That's the storm for next Monday to Tuesday, that big area of low pressure that brings loads of heavy rain sweeping across the country and very strong winds as well. And then we go into like a showery scenario. Cold and summer showers turn a bit wintry over the high ground of Scotland there. And another bout of really heavy rain there from the 16th through to the 17th of November. Next Wednesday to Thursday, with this area of low pressure bringing further heavy rain and no doubt strong to gale force winds sweeping across the country as well. By day 10, we're into something a little bit more showery. Again, the showers could be wintry across western parts of Scotland, high ground in particular. Probably a dry day then, but there will be more rain lurking out in the Atlantic. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensemble today for day 10. Getting us to the 18th of November. 19 members of the ECM ensembles bring deep low pressure in from off the Atlantic, so lots of rain, wind with that. 10 with low pressure again to our west, so plenty of wind, rain with that one too. 7 with low pressure to the north, high pressure ridging in from the southwest. That's a little bit drier for the south, very mild. We've got 6, including the operational run, with low pressure dominating the weather around day 10, so that can be unsettled. 5, low pressure over country, maybe slightly to our south, but a little bit more of a blocking type thing going on within high latitudes with that one, just sending a jet stream further south, so that's a little bit cooler as well. And then 4, only 4, has us under high pressure, and that high pressure is ridging to Scandinavia, so that will be mostly dry and potentially quite cold with winds in from certainly from off the continent anyway. If not like a proper EC, would certainly be like a continental flow that could bring a little bit of a gruesome twosome. In 2 weeks time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to the 23rd of November. 23 members of the ECM ensembles have high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. That's going to bring the driest weather. I'm sorry, once again, that's going to bring the driest weather into the south. The north and west will be a little bit more unsettled. 18 with high pressure over Scandinavia, low pressure is out in the Atlantic. That could be bringing something a bit cooler in from the continent. Again, it's not a direct easterly hit, but could be bringing in like a continental flow that might deliver some frost and fog. And then 10 has us under low pressure, very unsettled, but notice heights rising to the north, hints, I should say, of northern blocking from Greenland to Scandinavia there. Right, finally, CFSV2. These are 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into weekly periods. The first week period will take us from the 8th to the 14th of November. The coming week has high pressure to the west and high pressure to the east and low pressure to the west. We're drawing up southerly winds going to be very, very mild in the coming days. Now, big changes as we get through the week 2 to the 15th 21st of November, high pressure then begins to retreat away to the east as low pressure deepens in the Atlantic. That turns us much more until still pretty mild, but like slightly cooler with winds coming in from the North Atlantic. But the main thing is it turns wetter and windier, maybe even stormy. Week 3 is going to be the 22nd to 28th of November. High pressure then going north, so hints of blocking here within the northern latitudes, Greenland, Scandinavia, maybe Svalbard, with low pressure out in the Atlantic. So still unsettled, but a little bit less so maybe for week 3. And then week 4 looks interesting. Look at this. This is the 29th of November to 5th of December. We've got a mid-Atlantic ridge, which is going up towards Greenland, sort of low pressure to our east and northeast. And you will think with that, the wind will probably be coming from a north or a northeasterly direction. Dun, dun, dun. So that could deliver us into some colder weather as we get to month's end and into the beginning of December, maybe our first cold snap of the season. Of course, we will have to wait and see about that. It's a long way off, 4 weeks away. Right, if you enjoyed the video, then please do you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids and ask them to subscribe too. As I say, we only need to put on around 10 more subscribers now to get to 14,700. So please give us a sub. And we thank you so very much for doing that. 15k is the ultimate target, but how long that's going to take, I'm not sure. Right, well, that's it for today's video. Just to see what's coming up tomorrow. So we're going to start off with the 6 a.m. upload. We will have the extended forecast for America tomorrow as well. We'll be live streaming at 6 p.m. We'll live stream our 10 to 14 day, and then we'll finish it all off with the 3rd installment of the Christmas countdown. You enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and for this video, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.